Hello and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And I thought we would start making some Christmas gift ideas, stocking fillers, friends gifts, craft fairs and things which I know are coming up for a lot of people at the moment. And this is something that I've made year in, year out for family, and they always appreciate it. All my friends say, can you make me one for Christmas? It's one of these really lovely little pocket tissue holders, and it opens from either end. So you can open it from, you know, whether you're right or left-handed, it opens either end. And it contains a packet of pocket-sized tissues. And obviously it looks like a standard size tissue box, so you can take your tissues out from the top, pull them out. They look great sitting on a dressing table, sitting on, you know, a desk. I know people who keep them in their handbag, but as I say, they look great just literally sat on the side when you don't want a great big huge box of tissues. And it's something that I've made for many years. It's not an original idea. It's been around for forever and a day, but the Whimsy and Wonder designer series paper I think is just so beautiful. So I thought I would show you, because I know that I've got subscribers that haven't been around with me for many years and are fairly new, and I thought it would be a good idea to show everybody how to do it. So that's one completed. You need, and I have a little black book which I have all of my ideas and things over the years that I have, and I've got all sorts of designs and templates and little bits and pieces in here that I keep when I've got my ideas and things. And this is my pocket tissue box holder. So I'm going to put it sort of down here for you so you can see, which you can, yes. And what we need is, we need a piece of designer series paper. Now I'm using mint macaron for this because it goes with the Whimsy and Wonder, and that's the paper we're using. So you need a piece which measures 8 inches by 7.5 inches. So 8 inches by 7.5 inches. Okay. And then you need mats, and your mats, hopefully you've taken a screenshot of that. Your mats are going to measure, you need 2, one for the top and one for the bottom, and that's going to measure 4.25 inches by 2 inches. So 4.25 by 2. You then need 2 pieces which measure 4.25 by 1 inch. And then you need 2 pieces which measure 2 inches by 1 inch. Okay, so I'll repeat that again. 2 pieces, 4.25 by 2. 2 pieces, 4.25 by 1. And 2 pieces, 2 inches by 1 inch. And those are going to be your mats. So we'll recap on that when we actually get to putting them on. I'm just going to put them to the side for now. So with our scoreboard on the 8-inch side, we are going to score it. I've already done it, but I will show you. So you're going to score it at 1/2 inch. You're going to score it at 1 3/4 inches. You're going to score it at 6 1/4 inch. And you're going to score it at 7.5 inches. Then you're going to turn it onto the 7.5 inch side, and you're going to score it at 2.25 inches, 3.5 inches, 5 3/4 inches, and 7 inches. Okay, then that's all the scoring that we need to do on that. So we can take that out, and I can move my scoreboard out of the way so it's not going to be in anywhere. And I'm just going to get my bone folder. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to just burnish on all of these score lines. So just burnish them. I really love mint macaron, and as I say, this Whimsy and Wonder paper, I do quite like a traditional Christmas, so I do like the reds and the golds and the greens, but this paper, the Whimsy and Wonder, because it's got these lovely soft Blushing Bride, mint macaron, polished pink, so these lovely, Misty Moonlight, they are just really lovely for doing little projects with, and they're very different because they are, you know, they're a different look. So we've now burnished all of our score lines, and if we've got a little tiny 1/2 inch strip down at the bottom. Okay, well, or you can put it down at the bottom. So that's the way you want to have it. And this tiny little piece, what we're going to do is we're going to literally just take a wedge out of it, and we're going to take the whole of this little piece off because we don't need it. Okay, and then we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So if you wedge into it, and then on the other side, we're literally just going to take it off. Okay, then we've got down each side, we've got smaller pieces. So if we turn it so we've got our flap facing this way, we're literally just going to cut down each one of these. Now what you need to do is, if you cut down inside the score line on your square piece, and then you can wedge that in. And what you need to do is you need to wedge it in just a little piece, not a huge amount, but just wedge it right the way in onto that one. So this is our rectangle. Our rectangle we want to cut inside the score line. And then on our square piece, we're just going to wedge it out. So we're cutting out the whole of this score line. And again on this one, we're going to cut inside the score line on the rectangle. And then we're just going to cut in on the other piece. Okay, now I find it easier to do all of this cutting part first. So we're going to turn it round and do exactly the same thing. So this is our rectangle. Inside on our rectangle, cut ourselves a little wedge out of the square. Inside on our rectangle, cut a little wedge in out of our square. And as I say, if you want to make this along with me, you can do, because I know some of you like to make it along with me, which is why I try and do it in real time so that you can do it with me and then just stop us when you need to. So we're just going to take this piece off on here. Okay, now I always do it like this because then you can see exactly where you're going. Okay, so this is going to be the part that it's going to glue in onto here, and then you can start seeing that's going to be on your back. So the back piece, you can then start seeing where your folds and things are going to come. So this is going to be our back piece. So these pieces are the pieces we want to keep because they're going to tuck in. But the pieces here, which are nearest to this large flap here at the bottom, we're going to cut these away completely because we don't need them. So again, just inside your score line, we're going to cut this piece away, and we're going to cut the other piece away. So we've got that in like that. Okay. Then what we need to do is these tabs here, so the rectangular ones, these pieces, we're going to cut them about just over half, like that. So you've got your tab, and cut the other one as well, just over half, and the other two as well. So you can see these ones, these are the square ones. So we'll cut that in just over half, and cut this one in just over half. Okay, so we've now got two tabs on there. These tabs, while we're here, we can just again wedge those in slightly. Okay, the reason why we wedge things in slightly is it makes the box close neater. You don't get the pieces that are little pieces that catch. So the more that you can just wedge things in, and you want to do it just a little bit. You don't want sort of, you know, great big wedges, because you will then find that it doesn't stay shut. It sort of flaps a bit. But just by giving a little wedge like this will just make it a little bit neater, and will make it close a little bit better. I always tuck these pieces in so I can see where I'm going. And I need to just take this one in like that, and this one in like that. Okay, so we've got wedges on all of our flaps. And then again on these little pieces here, so the tiny little pieces that are going to fold in, again we want to just do a little wedge. Now you need to make sure that your wedge comes right the way up to that score line. So your wedge has got to come right the way up to that score line, because if you don't get it quite to the score line, that's the bit that's going to catch when you try to close your box. So right up to the corner, and on the other one right up to the corner. Okay, so that's, we can get rid of all of these little bits now because we don't need them. The larger pieces we can use for sentiments and things like that. The smaller pieces that can just go into the rubbish. But we now have our box ready. Now, what we need to do is we need to, on this piece here, we are going to cut a circle out of it. But what we need to do is we need to put our paper in to start off with, because otherwise it won't line up properly. So let's get the pieces that I've already put together. So we've got one here which is going to come in on the top, and I'm going to glue these pieces in, but I'm not going to glue the bottom one, and I'll tell you why. Unless you've got an A4 cutter, which I haven't, I've just got our normal die cutting machine. I've got the Stampin' Up older style, not the newer style, because mine's still going fine, and there's no point in buying something new if you've got one that already works perfectly, and Stampin' Up stuff works perfectly. So I use that one, but this paper is going to be too wide, or the project is too wide. So we need to do just a little bit of jiggery pokery to make sure that we're getting the cut out of the center without it cutting through on any of these pieces. And it doesn't, but it will leave a little mark, and I'll show you as we get to it. So we've got these two pieces which are going to come in. I would say I'm doing all of them bar the what is going to be the bottom of the box, and that will then become clear as I put it down. But you can see how beautiful this paper is. Just matches that mint macaron perfectly, and it's just such a lovely colour. I think it's so pretty for, you know, the Christmas time. And I must admit, I use mini tissues all the time. I have them in my bathroom. I have them on my dressing table because I find they're far neater than, you know, great big boxes. So they're perfect. Okay, so now we're ready to put the, to die cut the center. Now, you can use whatever you want. You could use, I'll stitch rectangles. So you could have a little rectangle out of it. You can use punches. I'm using something that's retired, but I absolutely love it, which is the stitch-shaped dies. And this is the, I think, the third one down. So we're going to cut it through like this. Now, I've got this one because that's going to cut my frame out. And I'm going to bring my Big Shot up into the screen so you can actually see how we go about cutting this. So let's just bring it out. I need to have the handle the right way round, don't I? Because I'm right-handed. So I'm just going to put it here. So I think put it on here so you can see it easier. Okay, so if I take it, you can see that it's not going to fit in because it's too wide. So you move it just up a bit. You can see it's too wide. It's not going to go through. If I take it this way, again, it's too wide. It's not going to go through. However, what we can do is we can move this piece here. So this one, we can just fold it back a bit. We can put this down. We can then take our die of whichever one we want to use. So I'm just bringing this out just a bit so I can put it down where I need it to go. So I'm going to put, make sure I've got, okay, so I'm going to put it down, and this piece is going to flap up, but it will then allow me, so I'm going to just line that up so that that is in the center, or as near as damn it to the center as I can. This piece is then going to flap up, and it will come across onto the other side, but it is not going to cut it, but it is going to mark it. And unfortunately, there's really nothing you can do about that. If you're using a punch, you might have a punch that's long enough so that it doesn't make a mark too much. But if I then take this, I'm going to take this off, move the Big Shot out of the way, and then you can see where we are with this. So bring it back into shot. Okay, so you can see you have just got on here just the mark from the die that has just marked the top, which is why if you don't put the paper in until afterwards, you're all right. So we can then take this piece out of here. Okay, and then what I've done, and this again will make a lovely little sort of, you know, tag piece, because we haven't stuck that down. So you've got two pieces that you can use for another project. Then I've taken the next size up and I've die cut that, and then die cut this piece out of the center, which gives me, and I've just done it in basic white, just gives me a little white frame, because I didn't want to have it in the same as the mint macaron. I just wanted to have a little white one in on there, which will go with the tissues. You can do it in mint macaron if you want to. I just wanted to do it in this, and I will probably put some Wink of Stella around it to just give it a bit of a sparkle. The other one, I just used some silver shimmer paper. We've got some, oh, what do you call it, metallic, brushed metallic in the new catalogue, which is quite good. But any sort of paper that you want to do, you don't have to have the frame if you don't want to, but for me it just finishes it off just quite nicely, just in on this little bit like this. I'm just going to take it up to make sure that I've got it exactly where I want it. like that. Okay, and now we can then take this piece and put this in on the base, and then it won't show that it's marked it. As I say, if you've got a larger die cutting machine, it doesn't make any difference, but when you've got a die cutting machine of the size that we sell, the old Big Shot and the new stamp and cut, or whatever it's called, it doesn't come that. But once you put that on top, you can't see the mark at all. So that works perfectly. Then what we need to do is, on this little tiny piece here, we are going to put our wet glue. So right the way along here, and paying particular attention right to your edges, because that's where we want it. And then this can come in over the top because it's going to go completely flat. Take it up, make sure that it's right on the edge where we want it. And then we can just smooth it down like that. There we go. And then we've got our box beautifully done. The bottom sides will go in, and this will then tuck in beautifully in here. So that's one size. Whoops. Like that. And then the other side we can do the same. What I need to do is to get my packet of tissues, which I've got just out on the side. So any sort of small packet tissues, they're all the same sort of standard size. So, you know, open them out of take them out of their little plastic packaging, and then you can pop them into your box. It also means that you can refill them. And, you know, I tend to do a new one each year, only because we have some beautiful papers that come out, and it gives us a chance to do them for the new year. So that's one that's done in the mint macaron, which I think is absolutely lovely. And as I say, what I will probably do is just put a little bit of Wink of Stella around on here, because you've got this lovely iridescent paper. This one, I did it with some silver, which stands out just a little bit more. But again, I think that that looks really rather classic. And you could, as I say, do it in the mint macaron if you wanted to. But because the tissues are pale, I just sort of thought it would look quite nice like that. And as I say, I'm going to put some Wink of Stella around there. I'm not going to do it now because you can't see it. Wink of Stella doesn't show up on the camera. But a lovely little Christmas project. That, as I say, I put in a lot of people's stocking fillers and as little gifts in with presents and things, because they are so popular every year. So I hope you enjoyed that. As always, please stay safe and well. Please be kind, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.